What's going on, everybody? So I wanted to give you an update on the Samsung S95B firmware 1430. The brightness has fortunately returned in a substantial way, so highlights now appear more naturally and you don't have to be as aggressive with the kind of settings that you create. In addition to that, something that I really like about this now is that it just has that extra luminosity behind color, so things like reds that were washed out on 1420, it does get restored. Now the downside is that motion has not been refined and it has not been fixed. So motion is still very bad in terms of the digitization on lower frame rate content. Oddly enough, higher frame rate content like 60 FPS and up, that kind of stuff will be very fluid, almost as if it received some sort of enhancement, which I think is very strange because a lot of movies and things like that do need to maintain their fluidity, but I guess maybe that was their way of compromising. I don't know. That's the real big negative of the whole thing. But in terms of the firmware being dangerous or is it safe or whatever the case may be, if you're already on firmware 1420, it's safe to go to the next firmware. Now, as far as going from firmware, 1310 to 1430, I think it's still safe to do so. There will be a slight reduction in colors. It's not going to be quite as popping as it was on 1310. And if you're on anything like, the 12s, the 10s, don't even touch it because that firmware, especially the 1000s, was just the best this TV has ever looked. But in terms of where it went, this is about as good, I believe, as they're going to be able to get it. So I think if you're worried about not having picture quality that's going to look good or whatever the case may be, fret not, because they did a good job with this particular firmware. And I did want to give you guys that notice. So thanks so much for watching the #1 brand in honesty. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.